Hi everyone, welcome to the Ibrox press room, and myself and Chris Jack here ahead of Rangers against Ayr in the Scottish Cup, the fourth time that Rangers have played here and the third time they've played here in the last 7 days. Feels like we've been in this press room a lot.
We are here quite a lot these days.
Yeah, we are
We
here quite a
basically
lot.
live here in Auchenheavy.
Yeah, absolutely. Big game today in the Scottish Cup at home. Rangers with a chance to get into the quarterfinals. We're going to build up to the game by looking ahead to the team and the big talking points as ever. Do get your comments in, and we'll try to get through some of those as well. The Rangers team: Jack Butland, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Souttar, and Borna Barisic. Pretty strong back five there. Nico Raskin joins Ryan Jack in the middle with Mohamed Diomande, who makes his full Rangers debut. Expect it to maybe be a bit of a 6-8-10, midfield selection as we've seen recently with Jack the deepest, Raskin the in-between, and Diomande higher, although I'm not convinced it might be Raskin deeper. I'd like to see that trial today, so we'll wait and see what happens there. Oscar Cortez is playing from the left, Scott Wright is playing from the right, and Fabio Silva through the middle. I'll read you the bench as well. It's McCrory. Thought he might start today, but he doesn't. Ridvan Lundstrom, Dessers, Cantwell, Matondo, Ben Davies, Leon King, and Ross McCausland. Chris, immediate thoughts? I mean, a good few changes, but pretty strong. And I guess the predominant takeaway, which people will be excited about, is that it's good to see Mohamed Diomande and Oscar Cortez both making their first starts for Rangers today.
I think out of all the names that people were hoping to see, those two are certainly the key men. It's a good afternoon to give them a game. Cortez, I think, has looked right, and he's appeared off the bench so far. Diomande, we've not had a lot of time to also see him, so I think it made a lot of sense for those two to come into the lineup. I don't think we'll see them for full 90 minutes. The manager kind of addressed that yesterday, saying they're fit to start, but not play the whole game. But really good to see them in. Apart from that, I think it's a really strong side. As you mentioned, back five, very, very strong. That's a Premiership back five. Silva, slightly surprised that up front. I thought it'd be an afternoon for Dessers, but it's maybe just an afternoon. Give Silva some more game time, try and get a bit more fitness and sharpness into him. Not played a lot of games. I thought it might have been him for the last half hour and then a bit fresher for Tuesday night, but Wednesday night, sorry. But if the manager feels he's good to get 2 minutes tonight and still contribute next week, then by all means.
The Ayr team, I'll read you the Ayr team as well. It is Robbie Much, Nick McAllister, Sean McGinty, George Stanger, I think it is, Paddy Redding, Ben Dempsey, Roy Sila, Logan Chalmers, Mark McKenzie, Jamie Murphy, formerly of this club, and Anton Dowds. Logan Chalmers as well, a name that might jump out to some people, former Dundee United youngster who I remember from a couple of seasons ago, and obviously Jamie Murphy, everyone will be familiar with him around these parts. Let's get to a few comments, Chris, before we dive into some of the big talking points. Brian saying, not a bad lineup, give some of the regulars a rest. Hugo Bear saying it's a really strong bench. Graham liking that. I presume that means the teams and not our commentary. Hugo Bear, interesting that Butland starts. Yeah, listen, Chris, I can understand that because I know Rangers conceded in midweek, but before that, I don't think they've conceded a goal in the league in 2024 yet. Or the cup, did they? No, they did concede it on Burnley on, didn't they? You can understand why Jack Butland continues in goals. If you're Robbie McCrory today, dare I say, you're a little bit frustrated that you're not starting the game?
I think frustrated is certainly the word. I don't think the manager goes for this cup keeper idea, and he's going to say, well, I'll give one player all the cup games and give another player all the league games. But I think Robbie would have been looking at this as an afternoon for him certainly to get a run out. It's obviously very, very difficult for him to displace Jack Butland as number one.
Yes.
After the season that he's had and all the talk of England and all the rest of it, Robbie's, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to get in the team on a regular basis. Afternoons like today, he would have been thinking, oh, this is potentially my shout. So I'm disappointed and frustrated for him. I think it made sense to give him a game and look, you see what he can do. But the manager has made that call, and it's interesting to actually hear why he's made that particular call, because out of all the changes, the goalkeeper is one that he could have made, and it's not really going to impact on the outcome here. I thought playing with Barrie is not going to be the difference between Rangers winning or losing this cup tie. With the quality and the experience that's ahead of them, it's a very, very strong Rangers side. I think Robbie probably deserved a crack this afternoon.
Yeah, comment here from Bluebells are Blue saying, pity we lack options to give Tav a breather today. Maybe we could have played King there. Agreeing with your comment there, I thought McCrory was a stewing. But I guess, Chris, it also shows that, Johnny and I were discussing this in the members channel yesterday. It was around this time last year, almost the week where Rangers played Partick Thistle at home, and that was far from a routine game. Clement will want to win and win well today, and I guess the team reflects that. There's no Dujon Sterling, obviously, in the squad today. Maybe he could have filled in at right back, if not. Aside from that, Chris, the other, I guess, predominant talking point, and one that I think the players will be looking forward to seeing, as Francis said here, is glad to see Cortez and Dio getting their first starts. It was always going to be important, I think, even though, especially Cortez, who's not played European football today and he's a young player, he's been thrown in right away in not easy circumstances. And I think if you cast your mind back to, I always remember the first time that I think McCausland came on for Clement, and it was at home to Hearts when Rangers were 1-0 down, which again, when someone's not started a Rangers game, it's not the most comfortable environments to put them in. But it seems like Clement is someone, as he said before, who wants to give young players a chance, who wants to put them in, and Rangers are going to need these two players if they have a successful season to make an impact. So it makes sense to get him in as quickly as possible, and interested to see what they can do today.
Really interested. I think Cortez has been right off the bench. Rangers they needed to sign someone in that area of the side. Losing Abdallah was such a huge blow for them. The goals, the assists, the pace, the threat, all of that has been snatched away from us, unfortunately. If Cortez can make even half the impact that we think he would have had, then it's going to go somewhere else to negate that over the next 10 weeks, whatever. So we've still got of his injury. So I think there's a bit of pressure on him as he's coming in as a younger player, coming in someone, as you say, making his first steps in Scottish football, another new style of play, new club, new changing room, new environment in terms of Glasgow as well.
New language.
Yeah. But there's a bit of pressure on him because Rangers do need him to contribute. They do need him to be an integral part of this side going forward. Dio Mandy spoke a bit more about it after he signed. I think people are really excited to see what he can bring. If he plays really well today, that's not going to say he's going to be an absolute star for Rangers, because, with all respect, as Ayr United and Scottish Cup at Ibrox, Rangers should be playing well. Rangers should be winning this one fairly comfortably. But hopefully he can really get off, show the fans what it's all about. Interesting to see where he plays, interesting to see some of those key combinations that he plays, how he links up with Silva, for example. And then, if he plays well today, do you go and throw him in on midweek against Ross County? If you do,
yes, please.
If you do, he's then really in the side, and then he's then got a chance to really become one of the key first names on his team sheet. Rangers haven't spent the money on him already, but they've committed to the money.
Yeah.
The manager's spoken about why he's here, what he can bring to the side. He's going to be, hopefully, an integral part of this team going forward. But they need to see the best of him very quickly, because there's a lot of pressure on him as well.
Comment here: why is Clement playing Cortez on the left? He's a right winger. I think he can play both of those positions. I agree that if you look back in his career, often when he's played in higher possession teams, which obviously Rangers are normally domestically, he has played on the right, but I think at the moment there's more of a hole on the left, probably in a starting capacity, certainly. I think Rabbi Matondo's done well over the last couple of games, and he's been able to contribute, but Ross McCausland has played more consistently compared to him on the right hand side, and I think it's because as well it's trying to replace the impact of Sima in having a second number 9 joining from the left hand side. The role on the right is slightly different, so that would be my guess at that. Comment here saying afternoon from Sky Willie, listening today from Gran Canaria, normally Forteventura. Always good to catch the live show. Sounds like he's got
well, it gets about.
Yeah, better weather than we're enjoying in Glasgow today. Fabio Silva, Chris, I think the last two games, obviously it was last weekend against Livingston. It feels a lifetime ago. I thought he was good then, and I thought he was actually really good from the bench in midweek against Aberdeen. You feel with players sometimes when they've convinced fans a little bit. And it feels like with Silva again, people are maybe still working out how many goals is he going to score. I think it's been pretty evident from the games he's played so far that he's good. He's very good. You can see why someone has spent a lot of money on him as a young player. And you're saying that you thought Dessers might play today. I probably agree with that, although he did play. He obviously started in midweek, but another opportunity for Silva to hopefully get a goal today, which would boost his confidence and I guess for the supporters to see a little bit more of what he's about, because what we have seen so far, again with him having not been at the club too long, not played too many games, it's been a bright start, hasn't it?
I think so far he's been really impressive. I know there's been a lot of chat and a lot of debate about him. I don't really buy into the negativity in some quarters over him. I think, as we discussed towards the end of the transfer window, if he'd been signed on the last day or on the first day, I think the perception of him would have been very different. I think what we've seen from him off the bench, what we've seen from him when he started, I think it has been good. Of course, he's going to be judged on goals. That's why he's here. That's why he's in the team. Against if he was to score today, it's not exactly a statement of intent given the opposition, but
wouldn't hurt.
But it certainly wouldn't hurt. It could for the confidence. It would allow people just to. I think it's interesting to see what if he does score, what kind of goal it is, because we're still waiting to see is he if he gets one chance in a game and he only gets one chance, does he take it? Is the type of guy that if he scores, is he then hungry for a second? If he gets a second, does he want to go and get another one? So I think even though the level of opposition shouldn't be anywhere near a guy who's gone for £35 million in the past, I think we can still take quite a lot from it over the course of the next 90 minutes. Or I'd imagine he'll probably get 65, 70, and then we'll see Dessers.
I did think the Rangers looked better with him up top than midweek, and him and Dessers are different players. Dessers has shown his worth over the last few months, but he's just quite a dynamic player, and that's something he spoke about when he came to the club, how Clement wants his style to link up with how he wants Rangers to play. Stuart is confident. He says Silva will get a few today. John saying
define a few.
And John saying Silva's not come to warm seats. And again, Chris, I think we've seen that so far. Yes, there will be continuous question marks over whether Rangers have enough goals or have players in big games until A, they go and do it over the course of the rest of the season, and B, they win a meaningful Old Firm. It's been way too long, almost 2 years really, since Rangers won a meaningful Old Firm fixture, so you can understand why that frustration feeds into everything else. We'll see how he does today. Another talking point raised by Derek here, not our Derek. We don't think Raskin really needs to start producing as he is slowly losing the love of the fans. That's a bit of a dramatic view, Chris, but I think what Derek is touching upon, and we've spoken about it a few times recently, is that it's been a while since Nico Raskin had a good run of form. He's probably, as we spoke about midweek, I think Cantwell has been in this place where he's impressed initially, and now he's started to show that second run of consistent form a year on from joining. He's obviously faced this kind of criticism about a month ago in the last Old Firm game as well. It's important to remember he's been injured, Raskin. He's been building his minutes up, but it is time for him to not least start producing and performing, because there's a lot of competition in that midfield. And whereas when he was injured, there'd be no question about who starts in the middle. Suddenly, with Sterling's emergence, with Jack coming back to fitness, with Lundstrom, with Diomande, I've probably missed a couple out, Lawrence as well. It's a busy area in there, so Nico Raskin could probably do with a good 60-70 minutes today as well.
I think Raskin's injury really came at a bad time for Rangers, but probably a worse time for him. He rhymed off a number of the names there who were injured during that time. If he had been available, he would have been a key part of the side. He would have played every week for him, say John Lundstrom, and it would have then given him a chance to perhaps re-establish himself once again and play his way into the kind of form that we all hope he can actually show. He's come back at a time where lots of other players have come back. Diomande's come in, and if you're going to pick a midfield for Ross County with everyone fit, right now Nico Raskin doesn't get in the side. So I think he could do with a really solid performance today. I think he needs the game time. That's been underused over the last week. Surprising he's not had more minutes over the last couple of games. The manager's obviously referenced how he's bringing Ryan Jack in and then back out and then back in again. Made the same point yesterday in regard from Tom Lawrence. I think now that Raskin's back, he really needs to, as you say, show a consistent run of form. The hardest part of that is going to be getting a consistent run of games, because there's a number, as we've said, there's a number of midfielders in the squad. The manager can really mix it up in terms of personnel, in terms of approach. and Raskin has to almost find his place in that midfield again.
And I think it'll be interesting to see, Chris, where he plays today. Thomas, you're saying Raskin is better as a 6 and Lundstram has that role. He's not played as that number 6 for a while, but I agree with Thomas. I think long term I would like to see him in there. Interesting to see if it's him there today or Ryan Jack. I suspect it might be Raskin slightly deeper, with Ryan Jack playing in that kind of in between role and Diomande higher, but we shall see in about just under an hour when the teams take to the pitch. We're going to leave it there, folks. Chris and I will be live after the game at some point. After the managers have spoken, you can watch the press conferences on our YouTube channel after the game. Keep in touch for our instant analysis. Keep up to date with us on socials as well. If you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can do so for free. And of course, please subscribe to the Rangers Review as well. The website links are all in the description. £4 for 4 months. Until then, thanks for joining us. Chris and I will speak to you after. Enjoy the game.